So that just kind of gives you an idea how many we're selling. The next is like the average cost of the certificate, because this might sound interest you, but you don't know how much it costs to participate. Well, the lowest amount that we sold last year was $18.22 on one certificate, and the highest was $92,000 for one certificate. You might be wondering what costs $18 or why anybody would be interested in an $18 certificate. And typically what you see with a low dollar amount certificate, it might be a small strip of land next to someone's property. The property owner that is next door to that may try to buy that certificate in hopes of one day taking a tax deed sale and owning that property, because it would benefit them to add on some footage to their property. So that might be where you see $18, or it just lets you know if you want to spend $20 this year and try out the sale, you can go in there and spend $20 and buy a certificate. You'll probably win it at a high interest rate, but you're not going to yield a big return with that low dollar amount. But there are the small ones out there. We took an overall average, the whole span, and got an overall average of about $1,700 per certificate. But we went a little further and we took out the bottom 10% and the top 10% to kind of look at the core 80% in the middle, and we got the averages closer to around $1,000. So that's a more realistic number on the average cost of each certificate that is going to sell. The next thing, this is kind of a pie chart. I don't expect you to see all those numbers, but the green and yellow represent any certificate under $1,000. So we had over 60% of our certificates last year were under $1,000. There are the high dollar ones. The purple slice is above $3,000. We had 750 certificates above $3,000 go to sell last year. So there's definitely some higher dollar values out there. I believe the highest dollar amount right now in our sale is around $58,000, somewhere around there. So we don't have that $92,000 one this year if you were looking for that one. But we could in coming up years. Average interest rates. This is an important topic. On the red chart, on the top of your handout, the average interest earned last year was 9.81%. That's the average interest earned. I don't know what you're making at your bank. I won't make fun of any bankers in here, but that's a lot better than you're going to make anywhere else on your investment. It's kind of right in line with the year before. We were at 9.69%. And without boring you too much, you see the two real high years. That's not common, as you can tell. What we saw that year, we do have large investors bid on these certificates. With it being on the internet, it opens it up to large corporations to come in and bid. They just didn't participate in the sale as heavily those 2 years. So our individual and local bidders really reaped the benefits of the higher interest rates in those years. But you could see in 2005 it was down to like 5.67%. And that year we had over 90% of our certificates sold at 0.25%. So you see a wide range. It's hard to estimate what it's going to do, but just looking at last year and the year before, we'll probably stay somewhere around the same, I would guess. It's important to note this is average interest earned. This is not average interest, the interest rate bid. This amount's a little higher than what was actually bid, because keep in mind if you bid under 5, you're still guaranteed 5. The average interest bid last year was 6.9%, so that's important to know. I probably should have that up here somewhere, but 6.9% is the average winning bid amount that was last year. So that kind of gives you into play. If you went in and bid a lot this year at 9%, you're going to be up and over the average from last year. And this is our marketing slide here. Average savings rate earns savings account 0.05% interest versus 9.81 in our last year's sale. So just driving the point home. But if you have any questions, we do have an email address set up, that tax sale at okaloosatax.com. You can email that. It goes to like 4 or 5 people in our tax department, so they can answer any questions, shoot you an email back. This information is on the front side of your handout as well, so you'll have it with you. Questions, our tax department, we have 2 phone numbers. My personal line is at 7603 at the bottom. And then auction support, if you have any technical issues, the company that hosts the sale, they're real quick at getting back with people. You should talk to a live person, which is good to know when you call. If you have any issues or you're not comfortable talking with them, you can call us and we'll relay the message or act as a liaison between you and our company. I'll just throw that box in there. I don't know if y'all ever seen that. It's a QR code that you can scan with like your phone or your your tablet, and it'll direct you to our bid site, so you can punch in Bid Okaloosa on your browser as well. But on June 1, if you're out and about and you don't want to sit in front of your computer, you can check and see what you've won right there on your phone or your iPad while you're out. You can adjust rates and stuff like that. So you can kind of take it with you. But you'll see those around our office if you visit our office now for doing multiple different types of transactions. So I have any questions? Like I said, I'm going to jump live and show you our website and show you the Bid Okaloosa site and how you can link to all those research sites, Clerk of Courts, property appraisers, ours, and see kind of how you go in and work through the sale. If y'all, I can get in there and drive unless you have a question right now. Yes, ma'am.
Is it all on property, just on land?
It is on real estate property. We do have tangible taxes in the county, which is like a tax on equipment. Those don't sell, we don't sell certificates against that.
Okay.
So, yes, ma'am.
We have two handouts.
You can. John will get you two. Sorry, you didn't get one.
So if I'm understanding, I'm buying a certificate on property A for this year.
Correct.
Next year, if it's delinquent, it goes up for bid again, and then somebody else might bid and get that.
Yeah, someone else might bid and get that.
Okay, and so where am I in the line for guaranteeing I'm getting my money?
Well, you're in the.
If you want
Yeah.
me to take that while you set up to drive,
I just
and
wanna
you're
pull it,
talking
so.
about multiple certificates then?
Set up.
If I win a certificate
Yes, sir.
this year on property, next year the certificate's delinquent, it comes back up for bid.
Right.
So it's going to go in the open market, somebody else is going to bid on it, and we're going to
Exactly.
get it. So I'm guaranteed of getting that interest that I won that year.
Yes. And I don't know, he kind of touched on earlier, when you have, if you had the 08 certificate, I had the 09 and Justin had the 10.
Right.
And Justin comes in to redeem those. You're going to get paid at that time for your percent and your money back. And he's actually going to pay it. Did you touch on that as far
Yeah,
as?
if someone else, say another certificate holder, if they've reached 2 years and they file, they have to pay off your certificate in that application process, so you get your funds back at that time.
Which keep in mind while you research them, if it's a $2,000 bill, for example, tax bill that you've paid for the 10, and then he has the 8, I have the 9, it's probably going to be around about $2,000 also. If it
Per
went the
year,
whole
yeah.
2 years per year, and you decide to call the question and push it to tax deed sale, you're going to come into our office and you're going to pay his tax deed off, or certificate off, and mine. So it's going to be about $4,000. And then, of course, you're going to get the interest and all that back. But you need, if you're bidding on something that's $10,000 to $12,000, you want to keep that in mind, that if there is other certificate holders out there for prior years, that you'll have to cover those.
You might think, what's your benefit of, having a certificate that's older? Say if you buy one this year, someone buys one the next year, you simply can just call for the tax deed sale before that next certificate holder can. You hold the oldest one, so you can call before.
Okay.
But through any application, you get paid off through that certificate. The most important thing is to watch, or don't let it go past 7 years unless it's just, I've seen some expire and they're usually $100 certificates, and that certificate holder just thinks, well, it's not worth me spending however much money to force it to sell if it's an undesirable piece of land in which I might wind up owning it, so they might just write off their investment as a bad investment. So there's about 70 this year that are going to expire from our 2005 sale, and out of a few thousand that actually went to sale. Most of those are under $100. So
So if a piece of property doesn't sell, nobody wants to buy it, what happens?
then
It's mine?
it's yours, right? Yeah. So it's yours, and then you get to pay the tax bill every year on it. So that's something to keep in mind. Of course, some people want that property. Like, if it's going to benefit you, if it's next door to your property or something you're interested in, then that's great. That's a good way. If you're interested in just buying property at these tax deed sales, the clerk of court holds them in the courthouse, and they're holding them during the summer. So you can go on their website and search and see when their upcoming sales are. I believe they have one June 28th. That's it's in a room about this size, and people have paddles, and they start opening bid, and it goes up, and they're actually bidding for property at that point. So that's not what I'm talking about today, but if that's something you're interested in, the clerk of court does hold those typically throughout the summer months. So
Yes, sir.
Who actually pays the interest, the tax office or the homeowner?
The homeowner or whoever's, or the bank, whoever's holding the mortgage or homeowner.
yeah,
Property owner.
it's added to their account on the first of each month, whatever interest you're you wanted that. And when they come in and pay, they're paying all the interest and fees. They pay our office, and then we will push out the money back to you. We do it through ACH, so we will redeem your money automatically back to your bank. You'll get an email notification telling you which certificate was redeemed and the interest breakout. We do ask for your W-9 information when you participate. If you earn over $10 interest, so if you're paid back over $10, we do have to report that to the IRS, so you'll get a 1099 from us in January for any interest. Yeah. Of course you don't, if you have certificates out there and they're not paid, and you're accruing interest, you're not getting any of that interest money back until that property owner actually comes in and pays, and at that time you can get all your funds back. So,
What kind of mortgage companies don't require escrow to pay their property taxes?
there are a few. I see less and less of that because of situations like these. But I'd say a majority of them require it now, but there are some out there that will not require you to have an escrowed tax. Your taxes or insurance escrowed. And, they're taking a risk when they do that. Could cost them more in the future, obviously. Yes,
Do you know
ma'am.
how many people bid last year? How many different individuals or different organizations?
We had 100 registered bidders participate. I think it was like 103 last year. Now, you will hear something about bidding groups. We do allow those, so one of those bidders could represent a few thousand separate bidders, actually. So, just to expand on that number. And
Yeah, we're really curious to see how we do on a local level this year. It's the first year we're out really trying to just advertise it to get the word out, hopefully that the locals and our citizens can take advantage of it. So we're going to try to run some numbers out, but we're real curious to see how many locals won, because really, well, that's our goal here.
yeah.
That's a good one.
Right, yeah. I'm going to get on here and drive. This is our tax collector website. If you can't see, I'll try to blow up certain portions of it. But our site, like I mentioned earlier, has been redesigned, so if you're not familiar with it, you pay all your stuff here on the right and research over here too. So if you wanted to look up a parcel, you could click on taxes, and it opens up a box where you could search kind of like for a name or parcel information, or the parcel ID number, which is what's in that advertisement listing. It's 18 digits, so it can be kind of a bear to type. But you can search here. I'm just going to show you this, but you can also link directly to this from Bid Okaloosa. So there's no real need for you to go to each separate site. I just wanted to show you what it looked like if you ever wanted to do any other research or look up your own account for whatever reason. You could go in there and just type in your name and pull it up. Some other key information on our site, I did mention about a tax sale booklet and our advertisement list. We have this form center here. You can click on that, and it brings up all of our forms. Our handout is on there. A bunch of good information, not just tax sale information, but we have it broken up into categories on what's in the tax sale, what's not in the tax sale, and stuff like that. I'll just show you kind of briefly. We have our tax certificate sale icon here. You can get that real estate news listing straight from there and download it. It's an actual PDF, and it's the exact replica of what was actually run in the paper. I don't know if I touched on, we ran the article, the listing in the Crestview News Bulletin. You might ask why. We have to bid out to our local papers that are in regular, that run regularly at least twice a week. And they got the lowest bid, so we ran it up there.
We do have a couple copies here, and all of our offices, we have free copies too. Of
So-
course, it's going to list them all like this, but for searchability,